Okay, artists. We're gonna do this little session. It's gonna be 30 minutes today. And we're gonna go into what I want to do is these little bumps on technique to help move you guys past some sticking points. What I wanted to focus on today was the
Uh,
lips.
excuse me, real quick, we have a couple more people that are trying to log on right now. Could you give
Yeah,
it like 2 more minutes?
yeah.
3
I'll
more
just do,
minutes? Thank
yeah,
you so much.
yeah. Okay, well, Jalea, I see you here. Hello, Miss Jalea. We have, let's see who we have right here. Who just
Hey,
left.
Dr. Don.
Hi. Is it Cherry or Sherry?
It's Cherie.
Oh, Cherie. Okay. I was like, is she Cherry Bomb or is she? Okay, got it. And then who do we have here? Renee. Miss Renee. I don't see a name with phone 3. Who's this face right here?
Can we see all their faces?
Can you say your name on the third one down? It just says phone 3. I don't see a name.
It is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Penny.
Oh, hi, Penny. Okay, got it. I just didn't see your name.
Communicate to everybody.
Yeah.
It depends how they set it up.
Okay, we're just waiting for a couple more people to join us. And we've got Danielle. Hi, Danielle. Great. So what I'll have you guys do is go on mute right now. I'm gonna get into going over something that people get really stuck on, which is lips. And then I'll open it up for some Q&A. Okay, and I'm hoping to be able that we can do this maybe twice a month. If this is something that you guys are
I'm
really
sorry, can we wait just 2 more minutes? I'm almost done. I have 10 people joining and I don't have it. And on, there we go. We got Danielle's in here now. Penny, can you change your, if you
don't
go
worry
to the
about it. I know
top of
that's
your
Penny.
photo and on the top there's 3 little buttons,
Okay.
change, right click on there and change your name. So instead of iPhone, it says Penny.
I don't know how to do that, and I'm not seeing buttons.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just didn't want you to
Sorry.
be.
We can do that after. Tech issues, right? I hate tech. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay, give me 2 more minutes.
Okay, no problem. All right, 2 more minutes. Miss Renee is leading us. She wants me to wait 2 more minutes. Well, I'll just talk about general stuff then. How's that? We'll just talk about like in general. So I just did a video on SMP, which we're loading right now. So we did our online training. Judy was in that class. We're going to be getting that loaded into Kajabi for those of you interested in learning SMP. And I also have in the Profit Academy SMP business training. And I did a high level overview for it that I'm going to put in the SMP. It gives you an idea. And I want to tell you guys, since we're all together here, you know, if your idea is to make this a real business, right? You're all in, you want to make over 150,000, 200,000 a year, 300,000 a year. When I had my studio in Queen Anne, we did 300,000 a year in services. Okay. So nobody can tell me that PMU does not deliver. It does. But you don't get there just by learning skills, right? So I'm going to put skills over here. Yes, you've got to get good at what you do. So just like a doctor, just like a lawyer, they have to, but then when you get out, now what? Now it's your next silo of learning, right? Your next silo is all the stuff to be successful. That's your next silo. Just as much as you invested time and energy into learning your skills, you need to invest that time and energy in your business side. Now, some of you come to the table with already having had businesses. Some of you come to the table with already some sales skills, and that's great. However, this industry has its unique points that might not translate over, okay? And what I mean is, especially with SMP, if you're going to sell a $2,500 package, you need to understand high ticket sales, which is totally different than selling tanning salon packages or selling products at the mall or selling, wherever you may have done sales. If you haven't done $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sales in a chunk, there is a learning curve for that. And we teach that in Profit Academy, okay? There's also marketing. How do you keep clients coming in? How do you sell them? How do you convert them? How do you upsell, cross-sell that? Right? How do you keep nurturing them? Like there's all these things that people that are up in that range know. Okay, there's a knowledge gap. So if you're just hoping that you do skills and you'll get maybe what we call market forces, which means anytime someone hangs a shingle out there's going to be a certain amount of people that'll probably come in without having to do much. And a lot of people in the beginning as beginners, they get the false notion that those beginner people that come in and see you is going to be the continuum of your business, and it's not, and here's why. All your friends and family and all the people that already know you are going to be some of your first clients, right? Because they've been watching you, they know you, they understand. What happens when that train runs out? Now you're going to the cold market. That is an entire different beast than people that already know, love you, and trust you, right? That is a very limited thing, and it's very small thinking, because you'll never get to where to run a business for 100, let's say your goal is, let's make it 180,000 a year you want to make. Right? You take out taxes, you take home 120, something like that. How are you going to generate that much volume of people, sell them, cross-sell them, upsell them, nurture them without understanding how to do all that? It's not just doing Instagram. It's not just social media, right? There's a difference. People are investing a lot of money. There's investing S&P $2,000-$3,000, $4,000. It's a different kind of audience. Even $500 is a lot of money for people. Think about yourself chunking down $500 for a service at a beauty pro. You'd be like, let me think about that. It's not the same as $150 or $50 or a $60 wax or something. You know, you're getting into what we call high ticket sales. And the ones that do really well get the knowledge, the power, the understanding, and they train. And they learn the scripting, and they know how to do it, and they show up for the training. Those are the ones that skyrocket to success. So I'm just going to say that while we're waiting for more people to show up, that you've got to invest in that, because most of the time it's not your fault. Beauty pros get out and now they're kicked out into the wild west and go, good luck. Here you go, figure it out. And they fumble and they fumble and they fail and they suffer and they close their shops and they open their shops and they think there's something wrong with them. It's not that. It's just your school doesn't have a next level of business training, but we do, because we saw that as a big problem. Okay. And also the industry's changed in permanent makeup. It's more competitive, especially brows, than it was 7 years ago. So you can't rely on what we call market forces anymore. You can't rely on the fact that people know you in your neighborhood and you're going to get that false sense that, oh, this is how it's going to go. It's going to drop off. Because remember, with permanent makeup, it's 1, 2, 3, you're done. There's not a long curve of these patients or these clients, right? Now, what we grow you into is what other services you can add in, right? It's always good to diversify your services. Don't just do brows. Don't just do eyeliner. Don't, you want to be full spectrum, because then you have ways to cross-sell them, upsell them. If you're, you offer aesthetics, then you've got to lead into aesthetics and a crossover. If you do makeup, you have a lead in. You always want to have other things pending and other new exciting things that you can turn them on to. And that's the one challenge with permanent makeup profession, is there are not many things you can tattoo before you're done tattooing this person. You did their brows, lips, eyeliner, S&P. What else are you going to do on them? Well, maybe you learn tiny tattoos. You learn scar and trauma. If you're already an esthetician, you have those services. So all I'm saying is just start thinking about that now, because you want to plan your goals. You want to have your goals well laid out. Things don't happen by chance. If you were to talk to, let's use Taylor Swift for an example. Do you think she just got her guitar, went to Nashville and became a superstar? Oh no. She spent years playing at little, bar mitzvahs and playing at the local free thing and the this and the that and honing her skills and learning how to be more professional. Oh, this is how the business of it is. Oh, this is who I'm supposed to be meeting. Probably took her 10 years. We were probably looking at her history. Maybe she was 18, maybe 28. Started at 8. Do you want to waste 8 years trying to figure out success? I'm sure along the way she got good managers, and then she started really accelerating because she had people to help her. Well, as a small beauty, you don't have all these entourage to help you. You have to figure it out. You have to do it yourself, and there's ways we can leverage now, but you got to still have the knowledge. Okay, so I'm just going to leave you guys with that before we get started on the lips. Renee, I'm gonna get started because I don't, if anybody's coming
Yep,
along, they can
you're
just
good
jump
to
in.
go. You're
Okay,
good.
okay, so let's talk about, I want to just get focused on skills intro. So let's talk about lips. They tend to be a little problematic for a lot of artists. They tend to be a little challenging, and I want to kind of run through again to kind of refresh and talk more about the lips on this particular episode, okay? So looking at these beautiful lips, I mean, gorgeous, right? Who wouldn't want to have that for their tattoo? I mean, it's gorgeous. But when you look at this, I want you to notice some things that have been done here. Number one, we've done what we call a sweetheart pattern. And I'll draw that on the board. It's a shape that I love. And it's a sweetheart, kind of like we're a little pouty, you know, a little like this. And there's little nuances that you learn on your mapping to help really create that every client absolutely goes bonkers over it. They love it. They love, love, love it. And what I often see sometimes is when you don't know that shaping nuances, is you get into the kind of this flat shape look. The top looks, oh, you might get the curve, okay, but then the end's just kind of flat. And then you might get this a little too wide because you're following too far out. And it doesn't have that signature, you know, sweetheart look that is what people really want, right? So mastering that, there's just some nuances and we'll go into that. But what you notice when I talk about a sweetheart look is I'm talking about how it slightly dips down. We get lift off up here. We get a nice curve here. And then we get that over here on the same side. The bottom, we get a nice rounded pouty. And then it comes up, it does not go out. A lot of people go out, they're following this cut. On the lips on the outer edge can have this almost imaginary line. And a lot of beginners or people get really confused on where am I supposed to want? If you go too flat, then it makes the lips look kind of flat on the bottom, which is not attractive, right? And so mastering this, it looks easy in concept, but it takes a lot of practice. So as I always say, map, 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 map. Did you have a question, Cherie? Are you holding up a question? Hold on, you can put it in your notes too.
No, I was just showing you, I just drew it.
Okay, good, good. All right, so practicing this, it's really good, as I always tell everybody, practice on people, right? Because you're gonna get the best at this when you practice on people. And again, it's got a little dip in, right, that we're gonna go over, and then it comes up, that's the nuance, and then the way we do this. Now, in your videos, I have a thing where I'm drawing it all in great detail. A lot of people skip over that. Watch it in detail, practice along with me if you want to do it on paper. That one where I'm like this and I'm drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. You're like, oh my God, I'm just drawing forever. That's the technique. I'm doing all the hatching, I'm doing the cross hatching in there, I'm showing you detail. So don't skip over that thing too fast. Go back to it and go, let me look at it again with another set of eyes. And with this learning process, remember, a lot of people say, well, I did all the videos. Okay. Practice, okay, now you've seen it, now go back and look at the videos, right? Now you're gonna go, oh, I see more. You're gonna see more and more out of the videos. The more you start practicing, the more you hit hurdles, the more you see, you're gonna go back and you're gonna get more and more out of them, because when you look through them for the first couple of times, you don't know what you don't know yet. You don't know what's challenging. You don't know what you're gonna hit. You don't know the value of like, what is this video really good for, you know, and then you go back, and that's why we have them as a resource, so you can refresh. Remember, it takes 21 days to build a new habit. It takes a long time to master these skills. And remember, the beginner always thinks they're better than they are until they hit a wall. It's totally normal. We all think that, oh, I got this. I've been practicing on skins. I don't need, and then you work on a client, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this is harder than it looks. I need to go back. And that's normal. You know, some people are just more go-getters, they want to jump in. That's okay. Some people are a little more conservative, they want to, you know, and remember this, if you cannot master it on skin, you can't master it better on a human. All right, and for SMP, if you can't master it on a melon, you're not going to master it suddenly on a head. It does not translate. It's more complicated, harder on people. So
Doc,
you got to master on the, yeah.
Dawn, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry to interrupt you real quick. I see
Okay.
Victoria's on here. It looks like she's driving. Victoria is the one that wanted to take a look and just look around and see what was up with the studio and that kind of thing.
Oh, hey, Victoria, welcome for joining. Yeah.
Hi.
We got students on here already that are in the program. Yeah, so we're in my studio right now, and this is where I do my live coaching. I'll have to show you after, because I have to switch from my 3D robotic camera and I have to switch to a different camera. So
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you later. But anyway, so we do most of our training here now because a lot of it is virtual and hybrid, and this just seems to work better. But we definitely have room. One of the gals here, Jalea, who you can see, Victoria, you can say hi to Jalea. She's on here if you see her. She came to our studio here. Jalea, what did you find your experience in the studio here? Go ahead and go off mute, hon. You can, Victoria's thinking about the program. Can you unmute yourself? There you go.
Say that it was the most amazing experience I think I've ever had. It has been a tremendous life changer for me. The amount of knowledge that I have gained from Dawn and all the people that are a part of Dawn and Vine Academy has been amazing. I recently just graduated. It was hard for me to go all the way from Lubbock, Texas to Washington.
Yeah.
That because I knew what Dawn was teaching. It was right. It was the right fundamentals. Her studio is amazing, and it'll be the best decision you ever made for your life. Honestly, it has been for me.
And did you like seeing a horse when you drove up?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so there we go. There you go, Victoria. That shows you the studio. Yes, there's a horse outside, but it is a full professional studio down here.
It is a full professional studio. The meals were provided. Such a beautiful inside. We got to see firsthand some of Dawn's equipment, the way that she works. She worked on us a little bit as well to kind
That's
of.
right. You got your brows done. You
Yes,
did.
ma'am.
Yeah.
A little bit of that experience, and honestly, I take that with me, and I feel like some of those moments being there is what has helped me to keep striving and driving to do the best that I can. So I say go for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julie. I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much, hon. I really appreciate it. Okay, so that should help Victoria get an idea of what we're about, right? We're about doing things right, aren't we? We're about making sure we don't skip steps, skip stones, be sloppy, no lazy, right? You guys know that now, right? I actually got on Jalea just this morning about something, didn't I? So if you want to be a pro and you want to win in this game, this is the place to be. Absolutely. There's a lot of knockoff student trainers out there that we get students that come to us from in tears. This is not an easy thing to learn, right? You guys know that. It's not, you got to learn right, and you got to have a mentor that actually cares about your being professional. So my students know that I will be on them if they're falling off track, but that's because I care about you and I care about this profession. I care about your clients. I care that you have wins. I care that you build confidence, and I care that you make good money and you have the dream of the life that you want. That's where it all comes from. Where it all comes from. Okay. Let's get back to lips, right? Lips are one of my favorites, like I said. They're so much fun. And people love it. It's a game changer. When you take somebody who has, vacant and maybe their lips are too dark, they're not happy, they're always trying to cover them up, they got a lot of pigmentation, or they just vacant, and you add lips, it changes their whole face. It's incredible. And the other thing, remember, from a marketing standpoint, you can connect with injectors that do lip fillers. Oh my gosh. A lot of times when they get lip fillers, it still doesn't give them that beautiful crisp look right here, because most of the clients have lost some color in their lip, or it's really dark and it's blurred. So you do this with fillers, oh my gosh, the client and your providers that do the injectables, they want their clients coming back. And if their clients feel that their work looks better with this, even though we might not get credit for it, they're going to keep going back to the injector, because that injector referred to you, which made their lips look better, which they feel the whole results were better. So there's plenty of that. Now we talk about that in Profit Academy. I got a gazillion ways you can get clients in the door tomorrow. Okay, so we're not going to get into that now, but I just love lips. The other thing, remember, with lips too, is people have scars, right? They have trauma, they have cleft palates, they've had injuries, dog bites. The reason why I was on the cover of one of those global magazines is because I was talking about scar and trauma for lips. And this was over 7 years ago, right? So I've been doing this a long time, and fixing somebody's scar on their lip, it's amazing to them. It changes their lives, right? So we're in the life-changing business here, not just the beauty business. So, when we're doing lip too, we want to remember that there's the 3 areas of the lip, right? You got the skin, which is different. You've got the vermilion border, which is that rim area, which is also different. And then you've got the lip tissue itself, which is actually an extension of the inside of your mouth. It is not skin. It's like tattooing a tongue. I'm surprised that lips hold color at all. I'm always amazed. So the texture is different. It's more rubbery. If you guys been trying it out, when you do it on practice skins, that's actually more realistic on that rubbery technique. If you get those silicone ones that are really bendy, they're a little more expensive, but you can also get those off Amazon. They give you the feeling, and that's what lips are like. So you're kind of in a rubbery area. The vermilion border can be hard to see sometimes, so we got to get really good at our mapping skills. And we definitely don't want to tattoo on the skin as little as possible, maybe a millimeter for correction. But remember, the skin will hold the ink way longer than the vermilion border and the lip. So you get what I call that Kool-Aid look. Remember the old Kool-Aid, drink it, and then you get the rim, or chocolate or milk. You drink milk and you get the rim, little kids. We don't want that, okay? Now remember, your clients may also come to you asking for you to make their lips look bigger. And I had that happen to me just the other day. She came in, drew her lips, she goes, oh yeah, I want them all bigger looking. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me explain and educate you on what permanent makeup does and where topical makeup takes over and where fillers come in. So she had this, came in with this, I was gonna like rim around her, and I was like, oh no, girl. So what I did, I took out my little lip and I showed her, look, you see, this is skin, this is vermilion border, your lip is like I educated her, the inside of your mouth. If I go tattooing around, you're gonna end up with a Kool-Aid look. And here's why we don't do that. But what I can do is do minor corrections, get you the fullest look we possibly can, and then you can go back to your doctor to get fillers for volume. So you're gonna get that with your patients, and you have to educate them. So the way you educate them, and she immediately was like, oh, wow, I didn't even know all that. Okay, thank you, yeah, let's go. It was like 5 minutes. So the more you educate your clients as well, the more authority you have, which builds more trust, right? They're going to trust you. They're going to ask you for everything. Hey, do you think I should go? Hey, what do you think about that? And you become now their go-to person, which is what you want. Okay, so educating your clients, and you're going to get these questions from your clients, right? On that kind of stuff. So we can do the vermilion border, and like I said, we can do tiny little fixing areas, but we are not there to create a whole new lip on that person. Right? And then if we have Fitzpatrick 5 and 6, 4, 5, 6, where maybe they have a lot more pigment, maybe it's a little brown, a little ashy looking, we then learn how to neutralize and add a little color and get them to the area close to what they want. Sometimes they want a little more peachy look, sometimes they want to have a little more rosy look. That's a different technique, it's a little more advanced, okay? Because you have to understand hyperpigmentation and how it sheds and everything. So I wouldn't advise in the beginning to do those right away because of the more complexity. When you're a beginner, you just want to get your technique down and get going. But there are ways that we work on that, and more complex lips, like scars. I've had people come in that have lots of like old fillers and their lips are lumpy, bumpy, burns. I mean, those are more in the scar and trauma complex area. So for now, we just want to master this sweetheart look, get it good, have fun doing it, build our confidence, and go from there. So when we're looking at, again, and this is just a refresher, you can see here, you've got the skin of the lip right there, right? You've got the vermilion border, which can look darker on certain types, and sometimes it looks very pale and vacant. Sometimes you can't even see it. You have to really use your goggles to see them. And then we have the lip tissue itself again, which is an extension of the lip inside. So it's really like tongue, right? It's a really interesting thing. The lips also heal differently. They heal really well. They also are very forgiving, when you're over aggressive, believe it or not, they're very nice to us. And it's amazing that they hold pigment at all because of the fact that people are eating, they're, drinking, they're drinking coffee, they're talking. I can't believe they even hold. I mean, if you talk to a tattoo artist and he does a piece on an arm, where do they always lose pigment? Right in the bend where everything's moving, right? So we're pretty lucky that lips, let us get away with what we do, because it's very surprising that they even let us do it. Okay, so let's get into, I'm not going to go through all this because this is the old lecture. I'm going to get into some drawing. Oh, just a refresher too on color theory, right? So remember, lips are generally always in the cool range, right? And I have that thing, when in doubt, warm it out. So when you're not sure, always go with warmer tones. They're always going to cool down when you heal, okay? Now, Victoria, I know this is a little bit out of your realm because you haven't even taken class yet, but just bear with us. You're getting some inside, training right here. So cool and then opposite. So we're always going to go with the warmer tone. When you're a beginner, I always say, when in doubt, warm it out. So when you're not sure on the color, always go for a little bit warmer. Again, you can always cool it down. You can always add in more mauve, or you can add in more cool nudes, but it's really hard to warm it up if you go too cool, extremely hard. So use your more warm reds, your more warm peaches, your more warm nudes in the beginning, okay? Until you start seeing it come back, because where you're really gonna learn is when the client comes back and you see it, you're, oh, okay. And then you really get to know your colors, right? Most people, you'll find that most of your clients fall within a range of about 4 or 5 colors. You know, there's the nude rose, there's the more red, there's the more orangey base neutralizer. So you're not really, nobody's doing like black lips or, you know, purple lips. I wouldn't do those anyway. Actually, the other night, you guys, I had a nightmare. I had a PMU nightmare. If any of you had a PMU nightmare yet? I had a PMU nightmare where I was tattooing lips and I didn't realize the ink was black. And I was tattooing and I went, oh no, and she didn't, and I mean, I actually had a PMU nightmare. You'll have those, where you're like tattooing, oh no, I can't finish it or something. So it happens, it's just right in your brain. So again, refreshing on that, of course, we covered that in training. And then now we get to the mapping, right? So beautiful mapping. You can use your white string if you want to. I like to do 2 different kinds of mapping style. I prefer, you can start with this, and then what you want to do is take your pencil and go ahead and draw the whole lip in, because then you really can see it. The way you really see where your nuances are, where it's crooked, is when you draw that, and just get a red lip pencil. You don't need all these colors. You want something you can see really clear. And remember, when you show the client, always tell them, this is not the color we're doing, this is my marking. It's going to look a little crazy. And they go, oh, okay, no problem. You want them to focus on the shape, not the color. Because at first when you show them, they're going to see this bright red and go, whoa, no. Remember, we teach you in training, you show them the colors on their cheeks, so we don't have to worry about that. So, you know, you want to go in and really take your time detailing this, especially this part right here, that sweetheart Cupid bow, you gotta nail that. So when a client looks in the mirror, what do they notice all the time on their lips? Cupid's bow and down below, right? Whenever you look, they're always going to notice that. That's going to be the bugging point if you get that wrong, or they're going to go crazy. So you want to get that nice. And what we're doing is, first of all, remember this line, we're doing symmetry. We're cutting it in half so we can see, remember, everybody's lips are crooked. Nobody has perfectly symmetrical lips. Even the most beautiful models on the planet, if you get in there, you'll notice little millimeter nuances, okay? And usually it's just one side. Remember, it's due to bone structure, and it's due to, you know, sometimes if they get fillers and they're not great fillers and they're, you know, we have a lot of that now with fillers. Where people come in, you're gonna see it, you're gonna go, oh, that one's more round, this side's flat. So what I do is I tell the client, hey, I'm gonna map where we are right now, we're gonna do this, but I want you to know that this side has more filler, that's why it's more rounded. Because you want them to know that what you're doing is not creating an imbalance. And then I tell them, you want to go back to your injector and have them fill this side a little bit more and have them not put, you know, I kind of give them a guidebook on what's going on, because we actually know more about lip balance than injectors do. They don't do mapping. If I was an injector, I would map someone's lips out and then I would inject them, wouldn't you? I'd want to know exactly where I need to do more. They just go in there and they just, you know, they try, they do it, they visualize, they eyeball it, they never map. I should teach a class for mapping lips for lip injectors, because it's kind of crazy that they don't map. Anyway, so we want to get that Cupid. So I'm going to show you how we get that nice Cupid bow. So let me go ahead and bring up my drawing thing. Yeah. Let's use red. Okay. So again, we draw our line here for our center line, and then we have our lines right here to give us where our Cupid goes. And what you want to start noticing with your eye is the difference in space from here to here. So first thing I look at is, do I have a big natural difference on the person's lips from here to here to here to here? Some people, they're off, right? They have more, or they have a crooked fulcrum right here. Their nose is crooked, and you'd be shocked until you get in there and start seeing it. So first thing I do is go, is there any major imbalance that I can see right there that I should probably look at first? If that's fine, I'm going to move on. Then I'm going to look at kind of the negative space right here, the negative space right here. And, you know, usually those are pretty good. I don't usually see too many problems with here and here. It's usually here where I see crookedness, or I see, if, you know, more bulging on one side due to genetics or bad fillers or uneven fillers. Okay. And then I'm gonna go, okay, so now that I've got this, and then I did my string to map, remember? And remember when we were teaching, we're talking about where you put the dots and then you do the straight lines first, and then you do the etching over. We're just gonna skip through that. You can go back to that training. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our red pen and we're gonna go in here and we're gonna go right along that white line, right on top of it. And you're just gonna etch just like I'm doing like that. And remember, when you get to this point right here, come in. Come in. Don't try to do a U shape right here. Okay, don't try and do a U shape. You want this really crisp. So the way we get that is with an X. I'm coming here. X. All right, that's how you nail that. That is the biggest secret on that top part by far. When I learned that, I was like, oh my gosh. And I learned this technique. I flew all the way across the USA, guys. This is how it was back in the day. I flew all the way across the US and went to a guy who was from Russia to learn our lip teching. That's how it was. You had to go far. We didn't have online training back then. Not even close. So, you know, we all had to fly and travel and find these experts and wring them dry for every bit of knowledge we could get out of them because we were never going to see them again because they never offered any coaching after. That's how it was. And we spent $5,000 just to learn it. You guys have it so good now. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to go here and we're going to come up and we're going to go to that point. Now remember, I don't want you to try and do one big round. Okay, that's where people get off when they're trying to do that beautiful curve on the top. They try to just go round it. You don't want to do that. You want to do section by section. So this is my section, and then I'm going to go into here. So then I've got these two, and then I can check my line right here before I go further with my string or my ruler, and I can make sure that I hit that right and that they're even. Okay. So then I'm going to come in, and what I like to do when I'm etching, and this is the same thing you do when you're doing your 1 point. You skip over 50% and come and grab it from midway. Don't just start right here and go, because you'll end up creating kind of a blob. And remember, that's a good habit to get into, because when you're doing your tattoo work, you're also going to grab and do 50% and then etch through that, remember? So it's a good habit. So I'm going to come back here, grab my line, and I'm going to follow down. Oops, sorry. This thing gets a little weird sometimes, this board. Come down. I have a love-hate relationship with this board. Come down and make sure you're not cutting this too straight. Where I often see a lot of beginners is what they'll do right here is they don't get the nuance of this rounded shape. They'll cut it too straight. Okay. And if you do that, you are going to lose this beautiful, voluptuous part of the lip. So it's a rounding. It's not a straight down. Remember how when you're learning brows, that one part that always kept bugging you is that drop off from the peak? You guys remember that? Like how hard to get that? You're like, oh my God, you would all start dropping them too early. Well, that's normal in the beginning. And then as you learn, you're going to round. So here, you want to make sure that you're really paying attention to that with your hand. And you'll find one of your hand will work easier than the other side. So position yourself. I usually map standing up. I don't like to sit down. And I have my client kind of at an angle. I don't want them sitting like this where they can move. I want their head against the table. I want to get in there and I want to be able to map and then stand up and look back. Go in, stand up and look back. You have to step away to get perspective. Okay. All right, so we'll go up here. And I'm going to go in now. If you were to see this person live, this would actually go down and in a little bit. Okay. Okay. So then I'm gonna step away and look at that. And then what I can see right here is then I'm gonna go into the minutia. So you can see, I can already see this one's a little more pointy, so I have to round that out. You see how we did that? Give her a little more round up here. And now you're gonna do your minor corrections. You gotta see them. And remember, we live in the millimeter world, right? It's all in the millimeters. It's amazing how a brow off a few millimeters makes a huge difference, right? A lip, a little bit. Okay, so we got that. And then what I like to do is I will sometimes start in the middle here, get my perspective, come around. I'm just going to go. Okay, now this is where people get into problems up here. I was talking about that. This is usually a very foggy area. It's not crisp like here. When you look at a lip right here, you're like, there's the line. You guys should go look at your own lips in the mirror right here, and you'll see what I mean. Even probably when Jalea does a lot of makeup, so she probably already knows, you know, that area can be a little challenging. So look at your own lip, try to go in there and mark with a red, and you'll see that this area can be almost vacant, and you're like, do I go down? Do I go up? So the good thing to do is if you're not sure, start off and you always want to go in. I always want the upper lip to be slightly over the lower. Okay? We don't want them to, usually, we don't want them to matchy match. Certain kinds of lips are more matchy match. Okay, now I'm gonna get into ethnic differences that I've seen. My Vietnamese girls, my Asian girls, they tend to, their bone structure tends to be where this is a lot more kind of all symmetrical and more kind of like out and even, right? Caucasian, I see a little more convexity. You know, there's you know, ethnic change differences in our facial structure that you'll start to see when you start treating clients, you're gonna see that. And my Vietnamese girls, they have like kind of an even, their bone structure kind of comes even all the way through the lip and all the way down. They don't have a lot of, so sometimes their lips, they just come beautifully and they just kind of almost connect evenly. But their lips are really full and they go up and they go down and they have very broad. So that's the fun of this, is you're gonna see you're always gonna have a challenge. Every lip, every ethnicity has different things, fuller, bigger, smaller. But I just noticed sometimes that when they have a more broad here and the teeth are very broad, you'll see that it can connect sometimes. But most of the time, you're always going to have that upper corner slightly over by the bottom one. Okay, and I'm talking millimeters. We're not talking like, you know, the Joker, right? We don't want Joker. Guess you guys got me a little more time. I'm on a roll now, so hang with me. So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna come down here. I always get carried away because I want to share so much with you. So excuse me if I'm going over my time, but anyway, we're gonna come in there, okay? So that gives us our broad strokes. And then, now she's kind of on an angle, her photo is, she's kind of angled this way in the photo, it's not perfectly straight on. So then we're gonna step backward and take a look, right? We're gonna go, okay, all right, that looks good. So if she was with me, if this was more flat, you would also see the other part of her. Then what we're gonna do, let's see, now we're gonna go ahead and we'll draw in, and what I recommend is you take your lip pencil and you kind of get a soft one. You want a harder one for the rimming and you want a softer one for fill-in. So you take it, put on your glove, take your brush, you know, the one I gave you with the hard edges, and you get it on there and then just pull color down. Just gonna pull it down like that so you can see the whole thing. I don't think I can replicate that here. Let's see. A little bit. Anyway, you're gonna pull it down from the line. Right? And you want to make sure that that top line stays real crisp. So go back in with your other one. This pen's a little hard to get right where I want it. So anyway, go down and you pull it in, you know, with your brush and just kind of fill that in. You don't have to go all the way. You're just trying to make sure you can see really well that shape. That makes sense? So you're going to pull that down and then you're going to stop and take a look and you're going to go, okay, let me go back. And now you want to go fine tune. You know, when you're a beginner, lip mapping can take a little bit longer than you think. Right? You might find that there's little areas and you just want to take your time. When you're a beginner, you should book out 3 to 4 hours for lip. Because you're going to be perfecting this design. See what I mean? Okay. So, last step and then we'll end. Now what do? We've got our design. We've already pre-numbed the lips. Remember, you want to pre-numb the lips. About a good 20 minutes. Now, here's the thing though, if you're a beginner, which you guys are, and you're going to take longer, if you went really long on the lip mapping and the numbing, you know, if you did the pre-numb and then you're still an hour lip mapping, that numbing is probably most likely going to wear off. So what I recommend is when you finally get the design, you tell your favorite client, say, look, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to etch that line in real quick, it'll be a little pinchy, and put the epi on, right? So you can see your design. The other thing is, remember I told you, is you can use a Sharpie. Get a red Sharpie and dot over your line to try to hold that. It's okay. I'd rather you take longer on your design and deal with like just etching in and getting the numbing cream back on than you rushing through your design because you're worried about the numbing to wear off. Don't do that. You can always add the numbing cream. Okay. So 2 ways you can save your design. One, if you pre-numb that you can etch, right, with your 1 point. If you like if the design, go ahead and etch it in and put the epi in, then you'll see your design. 2, go ahead and put the Sharpie right over the lip. And then I still would etch, or I might just kind of dot it in and then put the epi out. You never want to lose your line work until you have it cemented. It's the kiss of death. There's nothing more frustrating is doing an hour of mapping, right? And then she wipes her thing and you're like, oh, right? Or you can't see it after you've already committed to tattooing, right? So we don't want that. Okay, I'm not going to go into all of the etching because I have that video already. It's like an hour video, I think, of just me etching. So, but to remind you, you're going to use the 1 RL for your outline, and you're going to use the 3 RL for your fill-in, and then you go back and use the 1 RL for your refresh. Okay, just to remind you. Now, if you have a very large full lip, you can also graduate to using a 5, but I recommend you use a 5 shader, not a 5 RL. A shader is going to be more diffuse, it's going to be less trauma, and it's bigger, so you'll get more movement, but you got to practice on your fake skins first, okay? Because bigger needle can cause more trauma, but you reduce the speed. So remember, you always reduce the speed to about a 5.5 when you're using a bigger needle. Don't go at 7.5 or your speed that you do with a 1 point. You want to reduce that down, okay? So then you're going to start off, you did your 1 point etching outline, got your epi in there, and now you're ready to fill in. So remember, you want to break the lip into sections. You can draw this in if you want, which I highly recommend when you're a beginner. Just break it up to remind you, okay, let me do this section, make sure it's good. And then I'm going to go to this section. Then I'm going to go from here. Versus, you're not going like this, okay? We're not going. We go section. And remember, your direction down here is going to be coming out just like you do the edge of the brow. All right. And then here, you're going to have your 2-way, right? And then you're going to have your cross. Okay, same thing here. And you come in this way. So it's just the same. Now, when you do your first pass, the goal that you're seeing with your first pass is you're seeing, is the color staying? Right here should teach you everything you need to know before you do the whole lip. Right here. So you're going to go right in that corner and you're going to bring it up and then you're going to check it. Is it staying? Am I getting bleeding? Right? You shouldn't be getting bleeding. You should just be getting maybe, but you shouldn't really see much bleeding or even little dots at all in the first pass. If you are, you're too heavy or your speed is too high. Right? And when you wipe it, if you don't see any pigment, it just looks like red and beat up. Whoa, back off, girl. Okay? Remember, we're not about pushing it in with one shot. It's layers, like a butterfly wing. Right? Butterfly wing over and over till you build up that beautiful layers. You might do 6 layers of passes for your, even more. But if you do butterfly technique, then you won't traumatize the skin. So we like low trauma. Okay. So always test here. This is going to tell you what you're seeing. Then you're going to go, so let's say you do your first pass. Remember, second pass, you're going to be pulling in from here. Right, the edge work. And usually that's with your 1 point right here. You can save that for later. Okay, so you're going to be etching in, and then you're going to be cross-hatching this way, and then you're going to be cross-hatching this way. This is why you need to get masterful with your zhuzhing in all directions. This way, this way, this way. Okay, so a lot of times this way takes a longer time because people tend to want to use their whole hand, but you can zhuzh that way. You can even zhuzh with the curve. So you see, just practice. So you're going to go pull, push, and you're going to slowly work your way. Do another pass. Now remember, finally, I always like to stay ahead of the pain. So when I'm working up here, I'm always having anesthetic down here. When I'm working down here, I always put the anesthetic up here. Right here is where most people need a lot of anesthetic. Here, they tend to be pretty good. Here tends to be more sensitive, but the edge down here tends to be pretty good. But here, that Cupid's bow. So you use your primary numbing, the creamy stuff, and that's what I reapply over and over. I don't use epi over and over again. If you use epi too much on the lips, you're going to get hard, blanched lips that are going to be difficult to tattoo. So remember, the epi you do sparingly. I usually do in the beginning for my outline, and then I'll do maybe 3 or 4 throughout the whole procedure of a little bit of epi if I feel like I need it. The other numbing cream is gonna be the one you can put on over and over again. So always stay ahead of the pain. And remember this, lips are painful. All right, your client is not going to be completely pain-free. It's not, we're not doing dental blocks here. So when you're working, you know, you'll see, okay, then back off, give her a breather. You know, that's why I go up here and I'm always moving bottom up. That because that way when it gets sensitive, I'm moving here and I'm constantly kind of moving around and then reapplying the numbing cream. That's how I get my clients through with a good low pain experience. Towards the end, they're all going to start feeling a little more pain. So you just got to walk and say, you know what? I got you. We're almost there. This is I call it the money shot. This is the time where I'm perfecting and finishing everything. Now, as a beginner, you might take a really long time and they will not be able to keep going. Okay. Because you're new, right? You're new. It's okay. You're gonna break it up. So you know what? I'm going to do whatever I can in 2 hours of actually tattooing on you. And then we're going to wait and come back in a month, right? Because you're not going to be at the level I'm at, right? You're not going to be able to knock out a full designer lip in 2 hours end to end. There's no way. If you are, there's gonna be missing gaps. It's not gonna happen. Now, if you're just doing a general lip blush and you're just doing that, but it's not gonna give you the sweetheart look. Okay. So you can start practicing just lip blush right now, you know, with no edge work and all that, and just kind of getting your feet wet. But I recommend that you be honest with your model, say, you know what, we'll try, but I don't know if you'll be able to handle it more than 2 hours. Think about tattooing your lips for 2 hours. Needles. Okay, be mindful that there's a human being underneath those lips, okay? So what you want to do is make sure you get maybe 2 or 3 passes, so when they leave, it looks at least like something's been done. You know, you're not gonna do an outline and then leave them. And then have them come back in a month, and that's okay. It's totally fine. In fact, some of my clients that are really elderly, I can't do everything I need to do with them in one session. They just are so pain sensitive and they're fragile and their lips are very thin. And, you know, so I tell them ahead, I say, look, we're going to break this into 2 sessions and then a touch up. And I charge them more for that. And I say, for that, I have to charge you a little bit more because, and I explain to them because of this, because of this, because of this, because your lips can't handle everything I need to do. Right. And when you tell people, when you educate them, they go, oh, okay. It's no big deal. They understand. Educational sales is the #1 tool you want to learn. Education. Okay, guys, that's it. I went over 15 minutes. I hope I didn't keep you. But just wanted to know that we're going to be doing this I'll probably do these about twice a month. And I hope this was helpful. I definitely love your feedback on what topics you would like to see. So let's keep moving and grooving and keep doing your work and don't give up and just keep plugging along. We all started somewhere. Remember, I started with $50 eyeliners from people with Craigslist, you know, with a really bad machine. So if I could start from there and be here, you get to. All right. Talk to you guys later.